Monday, the power's in their hands.
It's our journey.
But is it slipping through their fingers?
We have just a few more days between us and the next Bachelorette episode, and today we are breaking down everything we can expect from episode 3. What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Blakely McHugh, and welcome back to another Shared News Bachelor update. We are going to break down what we can expect from this historic episode in just a bit, but before we do that, you know the drill. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring that bell so you never miss any of our future videos. We are joined by the Bachelor expert, Zachary Reality today. Zach, before we go into revealing exactly what's gonna happen, give us some of your predictions, and then we can kind of see how spot on you are for this next episode.
Ooh, a lot of pressure, Blakely. I was not expecting that this early in the morning. Thank God I had my coffee.
I gotta keep you on your toes.
I think that, I think with 21 guys left, it seems like next week could be maybe not like the week, but at least the first week where guys make their intentions really clear if they want to accept a rose from Rachel or Gabby. It doesn't necessarily mean that they have to, only date them for the rest of the season, but it definitely shows that they have a preference at this point, or the girls have a preference based on who they want to hand out their roses to. So I think it should be interesting, but I do believe there still will be a few guys that are going to have to date both of them for a couple more weeks.
Yes. Okay, so I think that you are on the right track, but before we give anything else away, let's just dive into the synopsis that ABC is sharing with us. So the first part of it is they say Rachel is going to have another one-on-one date. She's going to be treated to a day of, quote, glitz and glamour, which feels very Rachel. And apparently this is where a little bit of my confusion comes into. There's going to be a big screen, so like, I don't know, a movie of some sort, with a glimpse into each other's lives. And before we get into that, also TV host Karamo Brown's going to be there. A lot of people probably know him from Queer Eye. I'm curious what his role's gonna be. So let's just start off with this big screen moment, like glimpse into each other's lives. Is it a montage of Rachel as a kid and whoever her date is? Or what are you thinking that this means?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was immediately thinking, because I feel like they've done similar stuff like that in the past. But what we know about Rachel is that she is a pilot, so it's possible that they could be showing something on the screen in regards to that. I mean, last week she had her date with Jordan and they were on the plane, but maybe they were taking like pilot classes or watching a pilot tutorial or something on the big screen. Or, whoever she picks for the date, we can see a glimpse into his life as well. But, I mean, glitz and glam sounds very glamorous. So I think Karamo is the perfect person to guest host this date.
Also, like, is this a typical thing? Do they bring in the guest host? I kind of feel like Rachel is doing a lot off the bat. I think we talked about it last week because remember I was saying, like, she's really focusing on this perfect Bachelorette title. She brought in Ashley Cook and Brett Young to do the performance. Now Karamo Brown. Is that a normal thing? You said, yeah, but I wasn't sure what you were reacting to.
Yeah, they always have guest hosts come in a lot. Usually it's only the first few episodes.
Okay.
But they always have different celebrities. Last year we had Hillary Duff. She showed up for Clayton's season.
You're right.
It's usually when they're promoting something in the ABC family. But yeah, we always have some fun guest hosts the first few episodes.
You're totally right. I completely forgot about Hillary Duff, and now I remember her. Now, who do you think who's getting chosen for the date, Zach?
Oh my God, I have no idea. But I think she's really vibing with Zach and Avon and Tino. So I think those are my top 3 for Rachel. So I would say one of them. I think that the preview actually showed it could be Avon. So I guess that would be my guess if I had to pick.
Okay. And I'm thinking she did give her last rose to Logan. So I think there's a potential that he could be brought into the one-on-one because we know that she's feeling him a little bit. Okay, let's talk about our other Bachelorette, then Gabby, of course, because she's going to get her one-on-one date too. They don't really spill much about it, but we are finally getting Grandpa John, and I know that you've been waiting for him, Zach. Did they just take way too long to bring in Grandpa Jay, or like good timing?
I think they got to tease us a little bit. We can't have Grandpa Jay show up at the premiere episode. We're going to be episode 3 getting Grandpa John. I think it's an appropriate amount of time. I was really close to my grandfather growing up. Unfortunately, he passed, RIP. So I love Gabby's relationship with her grandpa. It's clear how close they are, and he's such a character. He's so supportive of her. So I cannot wait to see him on the screen.
And if Grandpa Jay's there, like, what is this date looking like? Because they don't give us any details on what kind of date Gabby is going on.
I don't know. Maybe they'll play bingo or do some of their favorite activities that Gabby and Grandpa John do together. I mean, Grandpa
Yeah.
John is a nice guy. He's a little bit more fun and loose. I mean, if you were going on a date with Tony, Rachel's dad, that would be a whole different situation because he is a strict father.
I feel like you're going boxing or something because you need to beef up those muscles just in case you have to deal with Tony.
Tony, yeah, that one is a little bit tougher, but I'm sure they're gonna have fun. I'm sure that Gabby is excited to introduce whoever her date is, to Grandpa John. I know she's kind of been vibing with Eric. She's been vibing with Mario, who got her first impression rose. So I think that she's just gonna use the opportunity to get to know one of the guys that she really likes.
Yeah, I think that there's obviously a very big difference between Gabby and Rachel's dates. Like, I think Gabby is much more laid back. Rachel is a little bit more, over the top, extravaganza. And talking about Grandpa John, we saw Brandon meet Michelle's parents early on. He was one of the first people to meet her parents. That didn't work out. So is this a bad omen to meet the family too soon?
I mean, it kind of also happened with Crystal on Ari's season, if you guys remember from a few years back. So honestly, I kind of think it probably isn't the best idea. I actually do believe that sometimes it is better to just meet the family at hometowns or at the final two if you're meeting the Leeds family. I think it's kind of better to go with that format. Sometimes it is too premature and puts too much pressure if you meet the parents before you're ready to. But you never really know what will happen. I think that Gabby's ultimately going to choose whoever she is, vibing with and in love with at the end of it, because Gabby is so mature and she's so emotionally intelligent. So it probably isn't the best sign, but I don't think it will be like the end all be all.
Also, remember Madison Pruitt met Peter Weber's parents early on that date, the wedding date too. And we saw how that worked out for them. So
yeah,
maybe you don't want to meet the family too early. Yeah, exactly. No. Well, we know it would not be a Bachelor episode if there wasn't something historic happening. Am I right? So this next episode, there will be the largest group date ever of 19 men. Before we get into it, thoughts on 19 men, Zach, on a group date?
I'm kind of shocked that it's the largest one because I feel like in the beginning, they used to always just bring so many people on the group dates. So it's probably the largest but not by much because they've definitely done like 15, 16. I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world because we're going to assume Rachel and Gabby are both going to be on that group date, right? Not just one of them. So 19 divided by 2 is 8.5. So just look at it like that. No, 8.5 because 19 is an odd number.
Yeah, but isn't 9 times 9 18? Or I'm sorry, 9 times 2 is 18.
Yeah, but 9. Yeah, so it wouldn't be. So it would be 8.5.
You're
19.
right. Yeah.
21?
No.
It's 8.5. It's 8.5.
We don't do math here on Sure News. No, because 9 times 2 is 18, and it's going to 19, so it has to be 9 point something, right?
So it's 9.5. But 9.5
Let's
plus
do the
9.5.
How about we just do the math? Ready? 19
20.
divided by 2. 9.5.
Interesting.
That's settled.
Interesting. Okay. So 9.5 guys each for Rachel and Gabby.
Yeah. This is why we stick to talking about the shows. We don't do numbers.
No, we only do numbers when we want our likes and our views up. So keep following and keep liking our channel, guys. We appreciate you. We see you. We keep track of those numbers.
Exactly. We're relatable. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Let's move on from that. I feel like that was a little low point for us. So this date is going to be part of the teaser that we saw where Gabby and Rachel are in the wedding dresses. I mean, at this point, we all know what this date looks like because they do it every single season. They have them do the pretend proposal. They, of course, do the photo shoot with Franco Lacosta as the photographer. And apparently, Zach, I had a hot take with Morgan and Allison the other day because I am not a fan of Franco's photos.
Why?
Because they're blurry. They look like they were taken underwater. They've always got these weird angles. I am not a fan. Are you a fan also?
I don't even know who this person is. Where have you seen his photos?
Zach, he's the guy who always takes the photos for this wedding date.
Okay, well,
are they not coming to your mind?
I guess I'm... I guess I'm not the expert that I claim to be. You know what, Blakely, you're gonna have to touch base with me on Tuesday after the episode, and we can talk about it. But I'm gonna keep my eye out
Okay.
for that now that you've brought it up.
Okay. I think that you know it. It's just not coming to your mind right now because once you see it, you're gonna be like, oh, I know exactly what Blakely is talking about, and then we can
Okay.
recircle back. Okay,
On
perfect.
Tuesday.
Okay, so this is something that Morgan and Allison and I were sort of talking about the other day about when we were talking about just the teaser video for the next episode. And I feel like it's just way too soon for a wedding type proposal type date. And I feel like they always do this group date really early on, which was bizarre to me.
It's definitely awkward. They do reuse a lot of the same dates. They have like the boxing or the
Yeah.
dodgeball, then they have like the date where they get naked. I think, like I said, like another day on another panel, I think that they really just try and use dates that are going to get people uncomfortable because that's how you get to know people faster, whether it's going on a plane or jumping off a cliff. Like they really just like to do these really uncomfortable, cringy dates as a way to, show people's vulnerability and, get them really anxiety driven so that they can make good TV, but also so that they can get to know each other better. I do think it's a little awkward to have a date like that. But sometimes it just, bonds people in a different way and gets them to open up.
If I were the lead, I would tell them that this is not a date that's going to be happening on my show.
And you know what, Blakely, maybe you will be the Bachelorette one day and you will have that control. I mean, I could see it happening.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So, of course, ABC is leaving the drama of the episodes to the very end of the description. They do that with the teasers, and they're going to do the same thing with the synopsis. So, it says the group then heads to the SoFi Stadium for a night of romance that takes an emotional turn when, quote, several men reveal shocking news to Gabby. So we've seen Rachel be turned down by the men in the teasers, but we haven't really seen that at all for Gabby. My instincts went that there's men who are saying, I'm here for Rachel and not you.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate, but I think that that's just what's going to happen. I think that there's going to be guys who are going to make it clear at this week that they're here for Rachel or Gabby, and it might not align with what Rachel and Gabby were thinking. Like, imagine one of the guys is like, oh, I'm only here for Gabby, and then Gabby's like, oh, I'm sorry. I was hoping you were only into Rachel, because that's how Gabby talks. So it's gonna cross a lot of lines, and I wouldn't be surprised if we got a lot of eliminations next week.
I will have to say, it does make me feel a little bit better if there are, equal men saying they're here for Rachel to Gabby versus, an equal men saying that to Rachel about Gabby, if that makes sense. Because all we've seen as the teasers is, poor little Rachel being told she's not wanted. Not that I want that for either woman, but I think that it will make it a little bit better if it's at least,
Half and
equal,
half.
if that makes sense. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens.
So then the network says, quote, the Bachelorettes make a decision at the rose ceremony that will alter the course of their journeys for the rest of the season. But when not all goes as expected, Gabby and Rachel are left to question everything. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun was not part of the description.
Bum, bum, bum.
So this is obviously the scene where Rachel gets turned down by the men at the rose ceremony. I think they're going to leave us on a cliffhanger. We aren't actually going to see the ending of episode 3. This is what's happening, right? If they're saying they're left to question everything, not at all goes as expected, this is probably what we've seen the teaser when Rachel tries to hand out the rose to people, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm assuming that's what's going to happen. Some guys might reject, Rachel's rose, or some guys might reject Gabby's rose. We'll have to see what actually happens versus what's happening in the preview. But I mean, at least they'll have clarity at this point and not have to guess anymore which guys are more into the other.
I agree, and I am very excited to see Monday night's episode. So let us know what you think is going to happen in that episode down in the comments. Anything else you want to comment about what Zach and I had to say today, what you think about that photographer, all that good stuff. And make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring that bell so you never miss any of our future videos. I'm your host, Blakely McHugh, joined with Zachary Reality. You can follow us on our social media handles that are on the screen right now. Drop by and say hello, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.